Roommate's boyfriend won't stop asking about my childhood. She met him 3 weeks ago and he moved in almost immediately. At first, he seemed genuinely helpful. He fixed my laptop without being asked and moved furniture when my roommate mentioned I needed help. Even offered to look at my resume. I really thought he was just one of those guys who needs to feel useful. Then he asked where I grew up. It seemed pretty normal at first, like just small talk over coffee, but when I said Ohio, he got this look like he was memorizing something. Then he asked if I ever moved as a kid. I told him we moved once when I was little, but I barely remembered it. His whole face changed for a second before he smiled and walked away. Something about that reaction stuck with me. He was always home when I got back from work too, like every single day, sitting on the couch or in the kitchen like he'd been waiting. My roommate kept saying how much he liked me and how he always asked about my day. That felt very wrong because why would her boyfriend care so much about the roommate? Then one night at dinner, he stared at me while I talked. Not in a creepy way, but like he was studying something. "Do you look like your parents?" he asked out of nowhere. I said I didn't know because I didn't have photos of them. They died when I was 6. He leaned forward fast. 6? Are you sure it was 6? That question made me so repulsed because who asks if you're sure about when your parents died? Then she mentioned he'd asked to see my baby photos. That was very weird, but also I don't have any. My aunt who raised me said they got lost in the move after my parents' accident. When I explained this to my roommate, she said he seemed really interested in that fact. He'd asked her 3 times about it. Why would some guy I barely knew care about my missing childhood photos? One night while we were watching TV, he brought up birthmarks. He asked if I had any scars I was born with. I mentioned a small mark on my left hip from a surgery I don't remember having because his questions were relentless. He asked which hip twice to make sure he heard right. I watched him lock that detail into his brain. The next day, my coworker texted me and asked why my roommate's boyfriend came into our store asking questions about where I went to high school. He'd never been to my work before. This wasn't curiosity anymore. This was something else. So I went straight to my roommate. She basically broke down immediately and admitted that he was a private investigator and he paid her to pretend they were dating. She thought he just did background checks for his job. She didn't know he was investigating me specifically. Why did a private investigator move into my apartment to watch me? I was so angry that I demanded she make him come to the house and explain himself. An hour later, he showed up with a folder. An estate lawyer hired me. "Your real parents died 4 months ago and left you $4.7 million." I stared at him. My parents died when I was 6 in a car accident. Well, that's what I'd been told. He pulled out documents. "Your real parents testified against a crime family in 2001, and you were both put in witness protection with new names. They just died and left you the money. But my job was to prove who you really were before they could give it to you." That's why he'd been asking all those questions. He was collecting proof of my identity so I could get the inheritance. "But we have a big problem now," he said. "When I filed the paperwork to prove your identity, it went into public court records. That same crime family checks those records to look for witnesses' family." My heart was beating even fast now. "So they know where I live?" He got really nervous now. "They're watching right now to make sure you're really the witness's kid." His voice cracked. "I was supposed to help you get your money. Instead, I told them exactly where to find you." I walked to the window. There was black SUV with a man standing beside it staring up at our apartment. He was on the phone. The people who wanted my real parents dead had just found me.